Brighter Shores has quite a few quests, many of which are very fun, and some of them are absolutely crucial to your progression. In my opinion, none more so than the quest which unlocks Storage Rift, a spell that allows for semi-remote banking. You gain this as part of a Spider's Nest quest, which is in the game's second episode, Hope Forest. So, if you're not at that point, you need to progress the main story until you can enter Hope Forest, and then progress the Hope Forest story until it turns you loose to freely explore. And so, in today's video, I'm going to give you a quick overview of what you need before starting the Spider's Nest quest for it to all go smoothly, then walk you through step by step, and then wrap everything up with those sweet, sweet rewards. So first up, you'll absolutely need Carpentry 32 before you can complete the quest. Beyond that, I highly recommend that you get your woodcutting to at least 8. This makes things much easier, and let's be honest, if you're getting Carpentry to 32, you're probably doing a bit of woodcutting, so that should be very easy. Beyond that, you will need to beat a level 10 enemy, and optionally, you'll want to be able to beat a level 35 enemy as well. Technically, you don't need to beat the level 35 enemy to get Storage Rift, but you do to complete the quest and get your experience at the end. So with that in mind, I would say you want between level 25 and level 30 scouting, depending on your gear and class. Cryo Knights may struggle a little bit more than the other classes here. Also, make sure you have plenty of healing and combat potions. So, starting from the road to Hopeport, head east into the forest clearing, then south into the Huntsman's clearing. From there, head south onto Timberwell Road, south again into Timberwell Green, then head all the way east until you can go east no more, so through the Mine Road West, Mine Road East, and Barricades. From there, simply head one tile north and you'll be in the cliffside path. Here is where you will see Toblain in a bit of a sticky situation. But if you attempt to rescue him, the spider has other ideas, and promptly knocks you off the ledge. But after your first fall, Eleanor's there. He's been observing the spider, and he has a tip for you. Specifically that this spider loves tar rats. But where might you find one of those tar rats? Well, there's a guy that might know the answer to all those questions. So head back to the Huntsman's clearing to speak to Kedwick, the local huntsman, because if anyone's going to know where the local animals are, it's going to be him. So you head back, you talk to him, and he tips you off that in a small clearing there are indeed tar rats. This small clearing is basically right where you already were. Specifically, it is a side zone off of Mine Road East. So head back there, and this time, turn south into the small clearing. From here, there's good news and bad news. The good news is you found the tar rats. The bad news is Hamish Truefire is roasting them, and he wants your help finding the rainbow pool in exchange for one of his precious tar rats. So you will need to make him an acid-resistant shield. For this, you have to collect a golden marrow, a snake's eye, and the shield base, which requires level 32 carpentry. So, first up, the golden marrow, because that's the easiest to get. To obtain it, head back to the Timberwell Green, and this time, head west into the Timberwell side road. From here, head south to Mr. McGrish's garden, where you will find a very grumpy Mr. McGrish and a beautiful golden marrow. But he'll only show it to the vegetable inspector, and he doesn't believe you're one without a badge. Luckily, the huntsman Kedwick just happens to be a vegetable inspector. So if you nip back up to the huntsman's clearing, you can inquire about what it will take for him to loan you his badge. Turns out it's pretty easy. You just have to kill a Spriggan and bring him proof. So off to kill a Spriggan it is. From the huntsman's clearing, head north into the forest clearing, north again into the leafy lane, then north into the leafy junction, followed by going east into the tangled lane, continuing on into the tangled path until you get to the stump clearing full of moss monsters. From there, head north once more into Treeway Junction, where you will find your Spriggan. After you slayed, you automatically collect a little bit of its fur. at which point it's time to return to Kedwick, where he happily loans you his badge. Now, after obtaining the badge, head back to Mr. McGrish, but on the way, you'll want to snag a marrow from the Timberwell Green, since after all, he's pretty attached to his golden marrow, and if you steal it, he's going to be a bit cross with you. Also on the way, you will find a can of golden paint, and what better to make your regular boring green marrow look like a nice beautiful golden one than some cheap gold paint that someone just happens to have left very conveniently right out in the middle of a road. So paint that marrow golden, present the badge to Mr. McGrish, head into the garden, swap the marrows, and congratulations, all you need is a snake eye and you're going to be able to have an anti-acid shield. Now, Vipers appear in a couple different locations, but the easiest thing to do is head back to the road between Hopeport and Hope City. And from there, simply walk east and keep walking east and keep walking east until you encounter an area that's absolutely teeming with Vipers. And so, get your combat gear ready, take that snake out, and after you do, your character is going to automatically collect its eye. Now after this, you only need one more thing, 32 carpentry. So it's time to set about cutting down all the trees and spending a lot of time getting to know the lumber mill really, really well. My own personal strategy was cutting down trees, moving from area to area every 2 levels until I got to level 18. Now at level 18, I started doing something a little different. This is when, instead of moving on to the next zone, as soon as a new tree unlocked, I decided to just chill in the Timberwell Green for a bit and build up a good amount of silver. This is because there's a lot of ash trees here that are very convenient to cut. They're right by the timber mill, so you can just cut them down. Once you get 12, head in, turn them into planks, sell the planks if a guy are right next to you, and then rinse and repeat until you have a good bit of money. Once I had a good bit of money, I went from Gwen's Lumber, where I purchased the highest tier of log I was able to work on that I could turn into planks, since they have more processing steps and thus give more EXP. Then going all the way back down, processing the planks, of course, selling everything after I finished it, which did net me a slight loss, but it was a good amount of EXP, then heading back up to Gwen's, rinse and repeat until I was finally done hitting level 32 carpentry. As a note, this takes quite a bit of time, and you don't have to do it all in one sitting. You don't even have to do it all in one day. But if you hit at least level 25, you can set your character to passively make stools overnight, which gives very, very good EXP, and it'll definitely help you on your way to hitting level 32. But hey, after you do, it's time to return to Hamish Truefire because you can finally make those anti-acid shields. So, mix the marrow and the snake eye into the pot, then carefully dip the shields. From here, you're ready to follow Hamish into the pool. You just have to get through a gauntlet of acid-spitting plants. Sounds pretty tough, right? Good thing there's an epic montage to get you through. See, that was easy. So after arriving, you meet up with Marcus Mint, who to thank you for earlier when you helped him out, remember, right in the tutorial? He teaches you a new spell, Storage Rift. This allows you to remotely bank materials at any of the strange stones scattered throughout the world, making it much easier to gather things outside the hub. It's not true remote banking, you can't just sit on a node permanently without transitioning between zones, but it does make it a lot easier, and all of the areas are clearly set up with this in mind. That's why if there's a strange stone whenever things start to get just a little bit too far from town. Now, if you have some buckets on you, optionally, you can gather water from the rainbow pool to make dyes to turn in at the color wheel. But don't worry too much about this, as it's easy to come back if you need. Also, don't forget to grab that tar rat on the way out, because even though you've obtained the spell, you probably should still finish the quest. And on that note, If you want to see more content on Brighter Shores, maybe guides to different quests, or maybe some of my thoughts on how to efficiently level professions, do be sure to get subscribed, leave a like while you're down there. But for now, let's get back to the spider's nest and completing this quest. So, return to the cliffside path, and place the tar rat on a flat rock right in the spider's view. Don't worry, it's immediately going to head over to eat its feast. But if you try to sneak by, it's still going to knock you off that cliff. So, you need to do one more thing. Lop the sticky vines on the nearby tree. These will fall on the spider, trapping it and giving you time to rescue poor Torblaine. And at this point, you might be thinking, oh cool, easy, I did it. Not so fast, buddy. You're going to need to defeat 2 baby titan spiders. Yeah, they might be babies compared to the giant trap down there, but they are still not an easy opponent at level 35. So remember, to do this, you'll want between level 25 and level 30 scout, depending on how good your gear is. Also, Cryonites beware. They are immune to cold damage, making a lot of your weapons much less effective against them. Everyone should remember to use both combat potions to boost damage and health potions to stay healthy while defeating these enemies. Alright, Spiderlings down, now it's time to save Torblaine and complete the quest. Congratulations, you get some EXP and the satisfaction of knowing this is a job well done. Now if you haven't already, go ahead and try that new Storage Rift spell. Personally, I found it very, very handy. Right after I obtained it, I immediately used it to start leveling my gathering. But for now, I'm going to wrap stuff up with a question. What other things do you need help with, or whatever things would you like to see a guide on for Brighter Shores? Are you struggling with a different quest? Did you get a little lost while training a skill? Or do you just want to know what the best EXP/cheapest things to craft are? Let me know all of those thoughts down in the comments below. And again, do be sure to get subscribed and make sure to ring that notification bell. Then keep an eye out for future uploads, as the topic you ask for could very well become my next video. With that said, if you want to see something else from me, maybe some of my thoughts on Brighter Shores as a whole, then do check the video up in the card and down below. I have to say, playing around with a Storage Rift feels really, really good. In fact, it feels like the game was designed with having Storage Rift in mind, which makes all the gathering before this just a little bit awkward. There's a lot of stuff up to like level 10-15 that's pretty good. Most of those zones are very close to your central hub, but after that, it definitely gets problematic, especially if you use skills like Gatherer, which takes place in Hope Forest, but has storage all the way back in Hope Port. So I can't help but feel like this really should have been part of a tutorial, rather than something that requires a level 32 skill and quite a bit of time spent completing a quest before all of these skills really open up and the world starts to feel good. But that said, the game is still very much in early access, so it could be by the time you're watching this video that it's already been changed. With that said, thanks for watching to the end, I'm glad you've enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.